Glad to be at the workshop. As you saw in the PowerPoint that we did previously, we talked about watersheds and the role that policy, planning, and specific techniques can play in reducing water quality problems in your watershed, in your community. Right now we're going to put some of that information into practice. We're actually going to play a game, an activity here. We're actually going to try to actually achieve a water quality goal for your watershed. So take a moment to just look at the game board that's in front of us here. This green dashed line that goes around the edge, that is the watershed boundary. You can see the stream running through it. And so we have the whole watershed for this particular stream on the board in front of us. The whole watershed. So all the rain falling, as we talked about in the presentation, all the rain that falls inside that line is going to drain into this stream. The rain that falls outside of it is going to drain somewhere else. So we have all of the water basically in this watershed contained here. All of the sources of everything. What sort of different things do you guys see on the board in front of you, just at first glance? Is it all the same?
Different land uses.
Yeah, different land uses. In this one we have 4 different land uses. And most likely you have all of these land uses to some extent or another in your watershed, in your community. Whether it's a city, a large or a small city, a forested area, farmland, or residential land use. And now there's a number of potential problems with water quality that we can deal with. And many of our streams are impaired for a number of different things, have problems from a number of different pollutants. Tonight we're going to focus on one pollutant, one specific pollutant. And that pollutant is sediment. Sediment causes a number of problems. One, and not the least of which, is that it acts like a bus. I love that. Sorry, I broke out. I'll do that a couple times, but not much. It acts sort of like a bus, a transport mechanism. Lots of things stick to those sediment particles. So when you get sediment coming into the water, you have other things carried with it, whether it's phosphorus or other pollutants, sometimes bacteria, mercury, other things will stick to that sediment and get carried in with it. So sediment's kind of a good indicator to look at for water quality. Sediment also causes a lot of problems in the stream channel itself. It can harm the fish that are living there. It clogs their gills, even at fairly low levels of sediment. Research has shown that fish start to exhibit avoidance behavior. They're trying to find a way out of the sediment. They're sort of coughing to try to clear their gills. They're respiring faster. They're not feeding because they're trying to deal with the sediment. So a lot of issues with that. Whether there's spawning habitat in the stream, that sediment can cover that spawning habitat up, fill in the cracks and the crevices that insects and bugs live in the stream, which serve as a source of food for the fish, among other things. So sediment causes a number of problems, not to mention the fact that it can be really unattractive for a stream in a community. So sediment causes a number of problems in this watershed. So looking around the watershed, do you see any potential sources of sediment here? Yeah, we had one right down here. What's that site down there?
Construction.
Construction site, yeah, right along the edge of the stream. What was the one up there? Somebody pointed up there.
A field, a plowed field.
The plowed field right next to the stream?
Buffer's gone, the trees are gone.
Yeah, I got a steep slope there where they log right next to the stream channel there.
Looks like a yard with no buffer.
Right up here?
A lawn, yeah.
Yep.
Parking lot from the roadway.
Yeah, you can actually see a little sediment getting into that little pond right there too, can't you?
Another construction site over there.
Up here. Yep.
There's a clear cut.
A clear cut up there.
Yeah, it's like a manure pile.
The manure pile. Well, those cattle have direct access to that stream, right? And they're probably not going to leave a buffer. They're going to tromp right down to the stream. There's maybe some other potential pollutants that come with that feedlot.
Bacteria.
Yeah. Nutrients, other things. Yeah. But certainly sediment from there tromping around the banks as well. So we've mentioned something in every one of these land uses. All of these different land uses have potential sources of sediment, and there may be others as well that we haven't talked about. There's salt applied to the roads in the wintertime, or sand rather. That sand that's applied can run off into the stream as well. So there's a number of potential sources of sediment here. Now we know through research that streams can handle so much sediment. Erosion is a natural event, right? Large mountains get small, not from anything that we do over time. Erosion happens naturally, but at a fairly low level. When we come into a watershed, unfortunately, the changes that we make oftentimes lead to a much greater amount of sediment getting into that stream. So our job tonight is to try to reduce that sediment to an amount that this stream can handle so that we maintain all of the values that you have for this watershed in your community. Now that could be any number of things depending on the community. For recreation, for the fishery. Or it may just be to meet a water quality goal that has been set, that you have to meet in your community. And that happens sometimes as well. I was debating whether or not to bring up TMDL. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't at the beginning. Sometimes after, so I broke up there a little bit again. So, what you guys are going to do tonight is actually play the role of these different land uses as administrators or leaders or rulers or czars or whatever you want to call it. For each of these different land uses, you're going to have full and total control, and your goal is going to be reduce the sediment coming out of this stream down to a level that is protective of that resource. Okay, any questions on that? We'll get into the how in just a second. How are you going to do that?